This is the Good Governance Radio.
This station is now the ultimate power in the universe.
Let's go. This is your radio, your station.
GGR, Good Governance Radio. You are listening to GGR, Good Governance Radio. Stay with us.
All right, this is still Good Governance Radio, GGR, and we want to sincerely apologize for that break in transmission. It was due to some technical issues, and we're back here to still continue with our program this morning. The newspaper
technical issues that conspired with nature.
that was beyond. All right. We are glad to be back. We're glad to be back, and we want to welcome you all, our listeners and our viewers, back to this particular platform, GGR Radio. And you can keep dropping your comments, your observation on our phone lines, and of course, our WhatsApp number is 08913-023-6602. You can also watch us live at www.ggr.com.ng, and of course our YouTube channel is at Good Governance Radio. So you can join conversation with us on all of these platform. We are still right here in the studio, of course, talking about Tony is here with me. Ebele is also here with me. And my name hasn't changed. I'm Chris Bassi right here. All right, we're talking about the issue of insecurity, the president's visit to Borno State, and all the reaction that followed suit. Let's talk about the morale of the troops fighting in the front line. What does this visit actually portray for the troop? Is this going to be a sort of motivation for them, because the president was able to address them, and of course encourage them, promise them of more equipment, and of course more welfare of the troop is going to be paramount for them. So what do you make of what these visits actually will be for the troop at the front line?
Definitely, his visit wasn't political. Even if there are political motives, I don't think. For me, just like you rightly put it, that visit was a stamp on the boost of the morale of the troop, because there was a particular day somewhere in Kubwa where the armed robbers were operating for almost 2 hours. I know how I felt that night, hearing the gunshots, and I wasn't confronting them. So these guys, their wives, their sons, their husbands, they are everything that humanity can offer in personalities. And right there, they have become, even though they are trained to do the job, it's not easy to be in that front line. So for me, the visit is a boost, seeing the commander-in-chief coming to tell you are not here alone. Apart from the logistics, I've been facilitating from my office. Where you are trading, I've been there as a soldier, being a USP, the unique selling point of his personality. I'm here with you to tell you that we can win this war. There's no doubt that his presence yesterday triggered, of course, it wasn't just a catalyst because he participates too. It triggered a step up in their morale. I'm sure it did.
Tony, your assessment of the president visit with respect.
Normally, when you see your boss coming to appreciate you, you always feel elated. And this is not the first time the president has gone to visit the troops in Maiduguri. So I think it's something that is well encouraging. But again, the people at times said there are other places that are crisis. The presidents are not make an effort to visit some states. So going to Maduguri is welcoming, but what about other states that have some challenges? The president has not even taken. Look at Kaduna, that's kidnapping and abduction of students were there. There's not been an effort by the president to visit. So when you try to balance it, you just have to allow that as a father of the nation. Once something happened in a state that is very outcried, look at the Niger state, 150 Islamic students were kidnapped, 50 again. So there's times that you go and visit the state where you meet the parents of these school children and talk to them that we are making effort, apart from the governors. So I believe it's not only going to the troop and Maiduguri is enough. You should also try to reach out to some state that there's a heat to console, to condole with families about the loss of their ones that are in school, and to even have a meeting with the students and give them that moral support. Yes, we are there for you. So I think the president and his aides should also look at that dimension.
All right, Bella, you've been trying to play down a political undertone when it comes to all these visits. You know, it's better to say that in just less than 2 years we'll be having election coming up, and there's been a cry all across the country that the president has not been visiting some of the crisis states, so to say, and he has not been having interviews, press briefings, and of course interaction with the press. And just suddenly in the last one or week or two, the president visited Lagos. Fine, he went to commission the rail projects. Now he has gone to Maiduguri to commission housing projects, and of course also by extension visited the troops. Are you reading some sort of political movement here that the president might just be preparing ground for his party? And which state do you think should be the next for the president? Because the Southeast have been, shouting despite what is happening in Imo State, that is also an APC state. Where do you think should be the next port of call for the president to visit?
In a very large dimension and to a great extent, I agree with my brother Tony, because he has not been excited about that visit in his comments and observation, because he is talking about the connectivity with the people. That's if I understood him, that's the angle he's coming from. Now, talking about the political undertone, the president is not coming back again, and we have not seen him as somebody, even before the 2019 general elections. He has not been this vocal politician when it comes to anointing maybe candidates and all that. It has been him and his particular way of doing things. And you have given me the expo there. I think, if I remember very well, the only Southeast state President Muhammad Buhari have visited since 2015 till now and spent a night, a walking visit, was Ebonyi State. It's on record. And even before David Umahi became an APC member, he remained the only non-controversial Southeastern governor. So he has been in touch with the villa. That was why when he eventually defected to,
wasn't so surprised.
Nobody was surprised, because it was he has been.
He even said it. He said Governor Mai said he loves the president. That is a man that he respects so much. So right, even when he was in PDP. So it's a known fact.
Exactly. Now that we remember 2 weeks ago, people, even what led to the ban of Twitter in Nigeria was when people felt that Mr. President sat in Abuja and made that declaration that he was going to speak to the Southeasterners or the agitators in the language they understand. So if he had taken a step further, even up to yesterday, the former president, Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, made it clear in a press statement that there's nothing wrong if Mr. President can negotiate and speak with Nnamdi Kanu. I read it. he said, put your ego aside. You can talk with him. Talk with anybody that believes that Nigeria is no longer right and hear their opinion. So like Tony said, if he took that step to go to Imo State and say, look, I have made some statements, I've given out some body languages that showed otherwise. For instance, he said that the 5% that didn't vote for him shouldn't expect equal dividends of democracy with the 95% that voted for him. And the Southeasterners and the Southerners, yes, they never hid their marriage, their romance with PDP. So apparently he was referring to them. So if he had visited Imo State or made a statement from Abuja, because Imo State today is boiling, and before, let it be on record, I said this on this program. I remember that day you guys were trying to bring the other angle that some police officers are also good. Yes, Senator Uche Hunife stood up on the floor of the Senate and called the attention of the federal government and all the stakeholders to what was happening in the Southeast, where we had 1 kilometer to a police checkpoint. The commercial buses were forced to pay 200 naira, and the private road users were forced to pay 100 naira. And it was a catch point. Southeast became and South became a catch point for police officers. So when those things happened, SARS killed people at will. I know a pastor friend of mine who they extorted 150,000 naira for nothing. They say they didn't like the way he talked to them, and they forced him use POS and took his money. Nobody ever spoke in defense. I'm not supporting violence, but I wish, like Tony said, that he spoke and said, hey, my good people, today we have APC members in Imo State, we have APC members in Ebonyi State. If this thing should be all about party, if he spoke to people and say, hey, my people down there, I am still your president, whoever is causing this trouble, we feed them out, maybe we won't be there. So going straight back to your question, I don't see maybe trying to respond. Lagos is a hub. You can't. Lagos is too big and too relevant for anybody to overlook. So him going to Lagos is a normal thing. Then talking about, for the first time, what even surprised me, for the first time, he granted a very lengthy interview that covered a whole lot of issues. But once more, we come back to the interview. What was the content? Were people satisfied with the information disseminated? Was it people-oriented? Was it democratically garnished and worthy of consumption across parties?
All right, Tony, if you want to add something to what Billy asked.
like Billy rightly said, we all know the style of Mr. President. His style is always about taking time to do things to happen. But I still believe that apart from Borno, Lagos, and one of the two states, the South, especially the Southeast, the president needs to visit, especially with the heat of what is happening in the Southeast now. Because we can't say you are a father of all, and maybe peradventure through your body language you are being selective. Since the presidents have been in the power, we can count how many states he has visited. So what we are trying to say is that, yes, it's good that you have visited Borno, but what was the major reason of going there? Is it to visit the troop or to commission the project of the governor? If going there that he flew down to Maiduguri, went meet the troops over there, encouraged them, and flew back, then he went to go and give moral support. But this time around, after going to the Kemia, yes, you visit the Borno, all these things, but you still went to do other commissioning, which is normal. So what we are saying here is that, or what I'm saying, my own opinion is that the chief of staff to the president, or whoever handled the centenary, should also advise him and said, Oga, there's also heat in the Southeast. Take a one-day working visit there. Even though there's nothing to commission, gather the stakeholders there in a town hall meeting and address them, so that at least tension in the Southeast will be doused down. So I believe that that is what I believe the president should do now.
All right, thank you very much, Tony, for your own contribution and talking about the chief of staff actually having to give the president a clue on where to visit. I think this man who was part of the delegation of journalists that interviewed the president has come out to say that that notion that the president is being that the president does not have a say, that some of the things that happened in the presidency is the cook stories that emanate from the presidential aides and spokesperson. But then one journalist who was part of the the media team said the president is aware of everything. Nobody is actually controlling the president. The president's opinion on every matter when it's concerned Nigeria is his personal opinions from the interview that he had with him. Well, this is still Good Governance Radio, GGR, and of course we are still dissecting some of the topical issues that has to do with Nigeria. You can also join us on 08193 023 6602. And of course, we already have a few comments here on our WhatsApp platform, and I would like to take this particular comment before we go for a short break. This one is coming from Abubakar MJ. Said they gave them money to come out and shout poverty is eating them deeply. I think this is a reaction to the president's visit to Borno State yesterday. And Adeshagun Fanaike says President Buhari needs to see reason with reality of life. Most of his political cabinet members are living in the past. We need to change them for the country to move forward. You can keep sending your comments. We'll take them on the show. Right now, we'll be going for a short break. And of course, when we return, we're still going to focus on security. Just yesterday, there was another, kidnapping of, school student this time around in a relatively very peaceful state of Kebbi State. So we will come back to talk more on this. Please do stay with us.
Computer systems are offline.
This is the Good Governance Radio. GGR. Stay with us.
Relatively.
Computer systems are offline.
This is the Good Governance Radio. GGR. Stay with us. You are listening to GGR, Good Governance Radio. Stay with us.
All right, glad to know that you are still listening to us right here on the Good Governance Radio, GGR. And we also want to intimate you of the platforms where you can reach us on our social media platform. And of course, by our phone number 0913-023-6602. We're streaming live at www.ggr.com.ng. And of course, our YouTube channel is at Good Governance Radio. All right, we still have Tony Ayodele in the building. We have Ebele Chidera here and Chris Bassi is also right here in the studio. We are still taking a look at some of the topical issues, emanating from newspapers for today, 18th day in the month of June 2021. Right here, yes, it all started in the Chibok, from Chibok to Dapchi, from Dapchi to Kankara, from Kankara to Afaku, and of course there's this Islamia school in the in Niger State. And now, just yesterday, we also received another shocker of students being kidnapped in government secondary school right there in Yobe State. Kebbi State, I beg your pardon. Yes, I did say that Kebbi State in the recent past have been in the news for all the good reason, the rice pyramid and all of that. Insurgency has not really, made way into the state. But yesterday, it was shocking when this particular news came out. Ebele, what could be responsible for this? Can we still say that this is, the infiltration of, Boko Haram, whose ideology seems to be against Western education? Do we still say that the incessant kidnapping in Nigeria, particularly the Northeast and the North Central now, is still the handiwork of Boko Haram, whose ideology is against Western education?
It's not an assumption. Definitely, they made it clear. As a matter of fact, the real translation of Boko Haram is that Western education is a sin. So, but the only thing we didn't get right when banditry started, because of sentiments, we were using rulers and pencils and tapes to demarcate their operations from that of Boko Haram. These guys are Boko Haram members. It's just that they changed tactics, knowing fully well that the operation with AK-47 with less explosives, we distract the federal government or military might from accessing them easily. And they got into the society, got into, especially through the Kaduna axis, and today they are everywhere. Now, and I can reconnect my point to the fact that is why people like us, we are telling the federal government, leave social media alone, leave Twitter alone, leave Facebook alone, and I have my points from different angles. You see, we have fought insurgency manually for too long. I was thinking that since we now know that these people, their major targets now is to pack our students off different institutions, from the Greenfield to Polytechnics to Forest School of Forestry and all that. What are we doing with technologies? By now, I am expecting the installation of CCTV cameras across these northeastern states. I mean, the schools. We ask me, is the CCTV going to fight the bandits? You remember that most of these schools, they have mere security personnel that only mount the gate to open and close the gates for vehicles and human traffic. Now, if you have a functional CCTV with a monitoring unit a bit far from the gate, they won't be taken unawares. And the CCTVs of these days, if you have the drone type and the other ones, it doesn't necessarily need to cover only the school premises. You can say, okay, 2 kilometers away, so that when you have signals, there will be a corresponding. Technology has made it easy. You won't just be connecting to the monitoring unit. You also make sure that you have a central monitoring unit to the nearest police station. It is very easy. The integration is very easy. It means that whatever is happening in the nearest, let's use Abuja for instance. If there is an attack anywhere close to University of Abuja, as they are getting the signal through the screen, at the first headquarters here, they will also have the signal. Even before you call them, they will take actions. So before these people will mobilize to move 200 students, 50 students, 100 students, there will be another signal. I'm just using Abuja as an environment I understand. There can be another signal to whoever is in charge of the Gbagbalada axis of the police force to cut them off. So by now, we should be fighting this battle with technology added to what the military is doing. They are doing their best. So going back to your question directly, yes. And the way I'm seeing it, they are winning the war, because very soon, parents, if I live in Kebbi State, even in Kaduna here, and if I'm compelled not to relocate from that state for whatever reason, maybe impossibility in my geographical mobility of labor, by now I should be setting up a homeschool and make sure that my kids don't go to school. So a time will come when in these northern states, where parents will no longer be free to leave their wards to go to school, and where students will no longer be free and will be at liberty to go and study. At that point, the aim of the Western education is defeated.
Well, I want to look at another different angle to this issue. The most important thing that is happening now, let's take away the Bailey's opinion. I believe the ransom being paid to these people is not being enticing to them to go into this kind of area. Because like the governor of Niger State said, he said there are some traitors inside his cabinet. It shows that there are some people that are backing these people. There are some people that are giving them information. So unless we find out who are these people behind this banditry act, then we will not find solution to this problem. Remember, like you said, Kebbi has been a peaceful state. But when this incident is happening in Niger, we have about 4 or 6 local governments that share boundaries with Kebbi. When this incident were happening in Niger State, what was the action of Kebbi State government in order to secure those boundaries? Because it's very easily accessible. So what at times some of these are governors, I don't understand how they work with intelligence. It doesn't mean that any state now that have not experienced this kidnapping or banditry of this abduction of students should just stay off. That is where we ask our governors, what are they also doing? Intelligence gathering. If you are aware that this thing is happening in Niger State, which is very close to you, what effort have you made to make sure that you secure some communities that share boundaries with you? More so, if you look at our government schools, they will only fence the front entrance to some few kilometers, whereby you have the back of it not well fenced. So they were open to a turn of attack. Secondly, how can you put one policeman, maybe with civil defense and maybe with one private security guard, to guide such a big environment, such a school? That is what is happening in most of our government schools. Now, when these people were coming, they were, according to the report, they said about 200 on motorbikes. And if you look at the landmarks in some of these northern states, where you find a school being located, before you can see
residential buildings,
is very far. But when these people are coming, does it mean that people are not seeing
residents are not seeing
to make communication to the police or to a nearby to send information that we saw a pool of people? We don't know where they are going to. So at times, our contribution towards information, sending information, is also very important. Because for these people to drive from that long distance and get to the school and be operating, and nobody could make a phone call, the only policeman that is there, can one man able to confront this larger people with sophisticated weapon. So I think what our government needs to do is how to see they can organize a well information dissemination. And the public too, when you see something that is unusual, maybe the network provider there are not available. That's another topic for another day. But I still believe that when these people are moving, because when the governors of Niger State were saying that there are some people that are giving information to these banditry people. So it is not left for the citizen or the governor to really look inward. Who are these informants to these people? Who are the people planning this? Who are the people that are aiding and abetting this kind of action? And now you can see the parents, because when these things were done and money were paid, the ransom were paid to them, they will go to another school. But until they start arresting, because you can't tell me that you are negotiating with somebody, you are interfacing with them, and nothing happened. Until they start grabbing these people, these abductors, grabbing these people, taking them to court or doing something drastic, then they can have to, because the trauma these children will be going through now is nobody can comprehend. Look at others that are just being released. So I believe that the government, the governors too, have to put a thinking cap. Look at boundaries that you share with them. If this is happening to other states, that is your neighbor, what effort are you also putting to secure your own boundary that you share? So I believe our governors too has to also work very well, and our schools. You can't tell me that a big school like that, and it's just unfortunate that the police officer that died, so rest in peace. Seeing this kind of thing, only you, what can you do? And when they enter the school premises, they even abandon their motorbike. They even took some vehicle inside the premises to cut away the student. In fact, they were even lucky. The coastal bus inside the school premises, the engine refused to work. Say, I will not be a partaker. So they couldn't go, but they would have gone with a large number of the students.
But they ended up moving with, I think they struck when parents came to
pick or
to
to
pick
drop
their-
one
or
of
the-
the.
Yes, and there's a no, I
they
mean,
used the
but
vehicle, yes.
and they even went with bike. So on their way going, does that mean that nobody can make a phone call? So
Yeah.
there is a need for intelligence gathering, and there is a need for cooperation
Of
with
course.
the citizen and the security operators.
All right, that's just a point that should be taken seriously. But Ebele, let me come back to you on this. What does this portray for other states, not just in the northeast and the north central and the northwest? What does this? Because for me, Kebbi State has not really had much of the insecurity, and for this to happen in Kebbi State, what should be the message to other states of the federation? Because the bandit seems to be advancing towards more peaceful state. Yes, a lot of people are saying there's no state that is peaceful in Nigeria, but then we can't compare what the relative peace that we're enjoying in the states like Kogi that do not really had an alarming security situation.
Basil, who told you? You see what I was telling you about the statement of Aline Dume?
Okay.
Do you know that Abaji is in Kogi State and not FCT? You drive from Lagos, drive from everywhere. Once you get to Abaji, that 15 minutes between Abaji and Abuja,
and Kwali,
anything can happen. A lot of people have been wasted there. I know a friend who was coming from Port Harcourt. You know the distance from Port Harcourt. That was where they opened fire on the Siena bus and killed everyone. Abaji is then Okene Lokoja Expressway has experienced the highest incidents of kidnapping and abduction that side. But that is just by the way. Like you were saying, talking about the messages. See, I love medical science. Medical science, even though I'm not a doctor, irrespective of the symptoms a patient is manifesting, the best they can do, take the person to an intensive care unit and stabilize. Then they will start running tests. Now, that's why the medical lab scientists, they are so relevant and indispensable in the saving of human, not even the doctors first. So then we get the result and say, hey, that was when I learned that there's no sickness called headache. Headache is a symptom of another sickness, maybe migraine, high blood pressure, and all that. Can we for once analyze Nigeria and these basic problems of insecurity? Our problem, first of all, is economic. It's an economic security problem. Yes, the bandits came in form of Boko Haram. Now, we have been begging Northern elders before now to send these children to school. You are right. We have there's no state in Nigeria here you will say we have absolute peace. But I can tell you today that if you go to southeast, south, and the southwest, you will not see a 15 from age 5 to at least 17. You won't see any kid roaming the street because they're out of school. It's very minimal. Let me not be absolute. In my opinion, very, very minimal. But up there, you have little children of 3, 4, 5. They are roaming the street. They are roaming the street and begging and constituting nuisance. And these are the group of people Boko Haram can easily grab, give them 10,000 naira, and they will go and blow themselves up. Now, talking about the messages for the other states, remember that we have been clamoring for state police. The state governors can only call Abuja and say, look at these unusual movements. It will still be left for Abuja to deploy the police or the military for possible intervention. Then one more thing, when people were talking about NSAS, it's not just about SARS. What is the strength of the trust between the public and the Nigerian police? If I see unknown gunmen moving behind my house and I call the police, and by the time the police arrives and they don't see the unknown gunmen again, they will arrest me and tell me to come to the station and start explaining. So that's why people are afraid, and we are telling the police, be more friendly. It's not enough for you to chant for formalities. Police is your friend. Please be our friend. So that, because apart from like what Tony said, okay, look at how they move those kids. 200 of them, 50 of them, 30 of them, moving them. Are you telling me that farmers, hunters, locals, that they didn't see these people? But they would rather prefer to take off and run for their life to calling security agencies who would possibly in turn implicate them. Yet, when you go to interface with these people, negotiate with them, you will not arrest them. So I'm beginning to be so worried. When the kidnapping and whatever that was happening in the South started from Port Harcourt, Rivers State, and Bayelsa, they were concentrating on the oil facilities. They were kidnapping expatriates. And even the international community, we were all saying, hey, look at Ogoni, clean it up. At least pay attention to this region. It wasn't an, sorry, I beg your pardon. It wasn't an excuse for kidnapping or for crime. Then that was why when President Yar'Adua came on board, he looked at the situation and said, no. This is not a gun war. Let me start from the amnesty, because we owe these people a lot. Now, have we really taken time? Remember, up till now, we're still saying bandits, unknown gunmen. They remain faceless. Recently, the federal government told us that they know the sponsors of Boko Haram and bandits, and they will start naming them. Why is it taking so long?
And Gumi has been going around.
And Gumi has been going around. So why is it taking so long for you to show us their faces, but you will always be in a hurry to show us the face of a man who stole a loaf of bread or 500 naira? That question is for the federal government.
Well, that question is indeed for the federal government, not for any of us right here in the studio. Tony, is there any you see one, because you've already made your point? I want to take you on the the kind of cooperation that the security agencies are getting from the local communities. Are they getting enough intels from them? Are the community helping the security men in terms of giving them the intels that is needed? Now, we did mention that there was a policeman, and of course from the information that we gathered from the school authorities, they said that they had information before hand that these bandits were actually coming, and they decided to fortify the school premises by bringing in mobile policemen and all of that. But then the police that were on duty on that day yesterday were overpowered. Do you think that the troops that are already overstretched, so to say, will still needed to be deployed to man school gates, and of course provide security in all the schools in the country? Is that possible? Is that a visible idea?
What is the total number of our police force?
Less than 400,000.
Half of it we are
to 2 million.
Half of this they are what? They are guarding the VIPs. That is another topic. Most of the states now are now having vigilante groups. They are equipping them, they are buying them vehicles, and they are also giving them some stipends. So it's another way of assisting the Nigerian police to secure their state. And I believe that most of these vigilante or these security guard that are being formed by this state governor is to work with the Nigerian police. But how well? Because how well are they trained to be part of this problem? Because some of them, you find out that they were all, when you see some of them, they were all well uniformed now. So in course of when you're talking about state police, the synergy between these private state vigilante groups with Nigerian police is very cordial. They are working well. But the only thing that we believe that we need, or that the government should add to it, is to train those vigilante groups about how to synergize, how to pass information. And it's found out that most of these vigilantes, they are not young men, they are not young boys, they are not youth. Some of them are retired, ex-servicemen with experience. But how can they, what is the level of their health condition? I don't know if you understand me now. So there's still a need to balance up the membership of this vigilante group and the private and the security operatives, that like you have them in some state that they give them some different, like in Zamfara, I think it's Zamfara, when they said their security operatives that they formed, that they stopped them because they were collecting money from people. They call it, I think it's a Manta Zagdo, something of that nature. The governor has to stop the operation for now. So you can see that there's some kind of infiltration that is going to this private security by collecting money from individuals. So, but by and large, I think these security operatives that they are forming the state they should give them a kind of a training, a proper training, equipment, and let them work very well. It's not only Nigerian police that can guide these schools. If you go to some private schools, you find out that some of these private guards, well trained, well equipped, that they are mounting the schools of some of these private schools, even some of these corporate organizations. Why can't they exploit private security guards?
I think Motokun is doing well in the West. They are receiving huge training in collaboration with the police.
Yes, but what about these private security guards? Why can't they be incorporated into also securing some schools, rather than waiting for maybe civil defense, maybe 2-3 of them, about 6? How much are they even being paid? So you find out that the government, the state governor, like I said the other time, I said the security vote of these governors, what are they doing with it? What are they doing with this security vote? Is it just only to collect it, maybe once in 3 months' time, or how many months? You just buy vehicle, machines, and just donate and say you are supporting. What other intelligence area are you investing this money into? What about the training of some of these private guys that you are forming? It's not just to give them uniform, give them baton, and say you're buying them cars. What about training? So we have a lot that our government needs to do in also to support the federal government in securing the state.
All right, this is still Good Governance Radio, and of course we are dwelling on the security situation in the country at the present. Yesterday, over 30 students and teachers were kidnapped in government secondary school right there in the Kebbi State, and of course this brings to the fore, the number of kidnapping cases that has happened in Nigeria in recent past that has been attributed to, bandits and all of that. And of course, we will be going for the last lap of our break. And of course, when we return, probably we'll just take one more topic. Yes, we have to take this particular topic because it has to do with, our being here in the studio talking about the freedom, press freedom. I think the federal government is head-bent on possibly gagging the press, and of course, the stakeholders are pleading with them to actually drop the idea of press regulation. So when we come back from this break, we'll definitely going to touch on this topic before we call it a wrap on today's edition of Newspaper Review and analysis of topical issues from the dailies all across the country. Please do stay with us.
Your online radio, the new online radio that makes you happy.
The Good Governance Radio.
Your systems are offline.
This is the Good Governance Radio. GGR. Stay with us. You are listening to GGR, Good Governance Radio. Stay with us.
Your online radio, the new online radio that makes you happy.
The Good Governance Radio.
We're glad to know that you are still there, and this is Good Governance Radio, GGR, and we are transmitting live from our studios right here. And this morning, we've already looked into so many topics that brought us on the polity of Nigeria, security, insecurity, and the president's visit to Borno State. But then we wouldn't, do justice to this morning program if we do not, look into a topic that affects, us right here and the studio, talking about the issue of press freedom, press regulation, and all of that. And just yesterday, the Nigerian Press Organization, comprising the Newspaper Proprietors Association of Nigeria, the Nigeria Guild of Editors, and the Nigeria Union of Journalists, called on the House of Representatives to step down a bill seeking to amend the Nigerian Press Council Act as the matter is subjudiced. The media organization and other group also criticized the various clauses in the bills, saying that they will discourage freedom of speech and the press. Freedom of speech and the press. That's where we want to beam our searchlight on. Let me start with you, Tony. Do you, by your own opinion, will you say that we have limited freedom as press men in the country? What's your take on, our operation in the country? Are we gagged? Are we being gagged by the government? Do we have the freedom to operate like it's obtained in other, parts of the world? What is your assessment, holistic assessment?
You see, journalism is a profession that it harbors different kind of people, both professional and non-professionals. And where the professionals are doing the job very well, the non-professionals, they are just catch on the opportunities and not following the rules and tenets of the profession. That is why you see a lot of people just talking about press freedom, press. First and foremost, let the bodies that is controlling these different segments of the profession, let them really weed out the bad eggs among us. So that when you are doing your job professionally, you will not find people trying to attack you. In a situation whereby everybody will just come up and say, yes, I have these assets, I can dish out your information. Because we all know while we are in school, we are taught the ethics of this profession. How many of these quack, let me just call it, because they are the ones that are making people look at the profession as if we are not regulated. How many people go to balance their stories? All they need to do is just one part of the story and just hit it on the media, to the public. But I believe that if though I've not really had enough time to really go to read the amendment they are trying to talk about, the press freedom, but I just believe that the most important things that first and foremost is the bodies, the NUJ, the Guild of Editors, the NAOA women. Let us also first organize a kind of a seminar or a way out where professionals are being employed, engaged in this area. You can't say anybody that just come out today and say he wants to be a lawyer or where to wear the gown. You must pass through some this, and you must be identified that yes, you passed through the law school. So you find out that at times when they say freedom of the press, who are these people that are giving us bad image? Why is it that people are complaining that we are not having freedom? Yes, we have freedom to some extent, but who are the people that even making us look as if that this profession is not well this thing? So even though a friend was cracking a joke with me some days ago, he said, Tony, when you go to a function, that after greeting everybody, that is still recognized with the press, that even though that we are invited, that came with that, they don't even recognize, they just say, and gentlemen of the press, because we are gentle. So I believe that the most important things that, yes, this freedom should be looked into, and our bodies should also have an input to see where they can even come in to make sure that this bill, the areas that they are having challenges, how can they come out to have an input so that we can have press freedom?
All right. I just want to quickly pick a few of the proposed amendments to be carried out by the lawmakers, and quoting the chairman of Media Rights Agenda Center for Media Law, talking about Arogundade. I beg your pardon. Yes. He said that the amendment seeks to restrict freedom of expression. He added that the amendment attempted to do what other laws have done, like the Cyber Crimes Act, which Section 24 and 38, which in no fewer than 10 instances have been used to clamp down on bloggers or journalists for expressing opinion antagonistic to politically or economically powerful elites. He stated that bodies like Amnesty International have documented 50 cases where the law had targeted not cybercrime suspects, but bloggers and journalists for writing on what they know to be false for the purpose of causing annoyance, inconvenience, danger, obstruction, insults, injury, criminal intimidation, enmity, hatred, ill will, or needless anxiety to another. He also described the penalties for offenses as stipulated in Section 3, 1 and 2 of the proposed amendment, including a 5 million naira fine or 3 years imprisonment as being too punitive, saying it will threaten media independence and freedom. He also criticized Section 17.3 and A and B, which provides that journalists could be held liable for the offense committed by his organization and can be made to pay a fine of 250,000, saying that it is impunitive. A lot of amendment. Let me take this last one. It decried that Section 33, 3 and 4 does not give room for retraction or apology where fake news is mistakenly published, but recommended a blanket sanction of up to 10 million or closure for a period of 1 year or both. Ebele, what do you make of this last, section that does not give room for retraction or apology where fake news is mistakenly, underline that word, mistakenly published?
The way they do me for body, I will rather respond from the problem on ground than this grammatical presentation, and I will come back to it.
Okay.
You see, for a very long time now, for some time, the problem in the media hasn't been with the traditional media per se, even though to an extent. We saw what happened between AIT and the Tinubu when they published a story. It became a court issue, just like Tony said. There was somebody to hold down, and they went to court. Now, all these things are coming from the medium called social media.
Social media.
But the question I ask, why do we always neglect what we call fundamental rules? In other countries, kids that are less than 13 years don't use Facebook. Instagram, the same thing. Nigeria has the most porous internet access in the whole wide world. Leave the government interest out of this now. In as much as I'm not contradicting myself by saying they should leave Facebook. Do you know that marriages are crashing every day because of what social media is portending? Lives are being taken. Suicides are on the increase because the nude pictures these these kids are throwing up there is coming back to them, and they can't handle the emotional trauma. Now, let me reconcile it with what I'm saying. The problem, just like to the pointed out, is that I agree it should be regulated, but what is the intent? The social media is an industry of empowerment on its own. A lot of people are selling. Okay, before I go into that, this government has been guilty of one thing, and I'm going to be very specific. In assumption, they might not be guilty. Maybe they have their reasons. I retract. When Boris Johnson was sick unto death in the intensive unit, the day they were taking him to the intensive unit and bringing him out, we saw the citizens clapping for him, cheering him up right at the hospital corridor. These things started when Mr. President was sick after the 2015 general elections. He traveled. The Nigerians were not communicated. Nobody knew what was happening. People were presuming. People were assuming. People were writing. Once you write, they gag you. Once you write, they shut you up. The media managers of the president were only waiting for response from the public. And we were asking, why not make a statement? Let it be that you made a statement and somebody came and contradicted what you wrote as fake news. Then you can go for the person. Presumptions and assumptions, they facilitate fake news. When you wouldn't address people, when you wouldn't talk to people, and people are now, there are permutations here and there, is this what is happening? And once people speak, you say fake news. Which one did you present? Anybody can be sick. I wasn't, God forbid, I wasn't among the people that I didn't say anything wrong about Mr. President being sick. But why were you hiding it as if it was an iniquity or a transgression, or he was suffering from his sins?
A man that was spending, Nigerian, the national, Nigerian money, so to say, was being spent in taking care of his health.
Exactly.
And you didn't give account.
And you didn't give account. You didn't even respond. And people started writing. That was when this thing started. If you check the problem of this administration with the media started.
I think it even started during Yar'Adua's, because Yar'Adua's health was also shrouded in secrecy then.
Yes, you are very right. Up to the point that the day he was brought into this country, nobody knew. People began to write he was smuggled in, how the military, some people were deployed without President Goodluck Jonathan how soldiers were deployed to the airport without the president then, Goodluck Jonathan, being aware. People were speculating. So when are you going to make information available to the public at the right time? Let's see where this fake news is coming from. That's how I choose to respond.
All right, that's how we've chosen to end the conversation today. It's going to be a continuous conversation, because as long as the Twitter is still on the ban, a lot of people will see come out, with different angles, to these, press freedom in Nigeria. Well, I would say we're enjoying a relatively freedom of speech and everything as at this time, because we have the liberty to come on air like this, and of course take some of these stories and bring it to your listening pleasure. We want to really thank you, listeners and our viewers on all our social media platforms, the YouTube, on our website, and of course those that have joined conversation with us on WhatsApp. We'd really appreciate you once again. Abubakar MJ, who sent in a message, Adeshagun, Fanny K, we saw your message. Then this last one, let me take your message before we sign out. Bawa Olayinka said, we have 3 tiers of the government. What are the local chairman, state governor, the House of Representatives, and Senate members doing? Just thinking. All right. We would not really have time to respond to that particular, it's a question. I would have loved us to do justice to that, but because of our time, I would not be able to take that. Maybe
we have discussed that on this program. Yes, the governors should go. Everybody is clamoring for restructuring, insulting Mr. President. For once, be conscience oriented. What are you doing with the local government? You have made sure there are no elections there. You pocket the money. You frustrate the system. If we have the local government chairman who used to work in tandem with the traditional rulers, by now the security situation in Nigeria will be different. The Nigerian governors were guilty.
Okay, Bawa Olayinka, I think Ebele has done justice to that within the time frame that we have there. Thank you very much, Tony Ayodele, for coming on the show and, of course, giving your opinions on the topical issues this morning.
It's my pleasure.
Ebele, it's always a pleasure to have you. I'm sure you're going to end your contribution with some words of proverbs. Do you have any word?
No, it's not actually like proverb. I will rather tell us what happened on February 13th, year 2000. Nigeria was co-hosting the African Cup of Nations with Ghana, and it was the quarter-final match in Lagos, Nigeria versus Senegal. People never expected that at the 85th minute, Senegal would be leading the almighty Super Eagles 1-0. And a young man who was the captain of the Super Eagles was on the bench, but he was down with serious malaria and other complications. He stood up, talking about Sunday Ulise. He looked at the coach, Joe Bonfrey. He said, "Coach, I want to go into the pitch." Joe Bonfrey said, "No, you could collapse." And Ulise looked at Joe Bonfrey. He said, "I will rather collapse on the pitch trying to save 200 million Nigerians from the pain of defeat tonight than sitting here to watch them go back home in pain." I want to ask somebody out there, what are you willing to save Nigerian from? It's on record that he went into the pitch, facilitated the attacking movement, and Julius Agahawa gave us 2 quick goals, and we came out victorious, 2-1 in favor of Nigeria.
All right, that's what you always get from Ebele. I wanted to take a sports story before signing off on the program, but Ebele has done justice to that with that brief experience. Tomorrow will be another day, right here on Good Governance Radio. We'll be back here. Okay, Monday. Yes, Monday. Tomorrow is Saturday. Monday will be another time to take you on another roller coaster edition of the newspaper review and the analysis of topical issues on this particular platform. Till then, do have a wonderful weekend. My name is Chris Bassi. We're signing out.
This station is now the ultimate power in the universe.
Let's go. This is your radio, your station.
GGR, Good Governance Radio. You are listening to GGR, Good Governance Radio. Stay with us